All right, welcome back. I'm going to do a couple extra segments today. Last couple weeks we kind of been slacking off, had some technical difficulties last week.
Yeah,
Week
and you were
before.
gone for a week for vacation.
It was a family trip. So this week we're going to do something a little different. This was kind of your idea. We were going to talk maybe every week about something that could help wrestlers and coaches, young wrestlers and coaches, certain areas.
Hey, parents, everyone. But,
right.
And I would say this, and I'll only take the lead.
This week we're talking about weight management.
Yeah, we're talking weight management. Yeah. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think the disclaimer here is this. In this day and age, you got to have a disclaimer. We're not doctors. We're not experts. We're not any of those things. If you're going to manage your weight, you're going to try to lose weight the right way. Talk to a physician, talk to your coach, talk to your parents. It's a collective decision. So with the disclaimer, knowing that don't try this at home, kids, there are just some things that we've been able to, that have worked for us as a team. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to do it, and we certainly don't think that we're better than anybody else. But we started thinking about, hey, what makes this podcast a little bit different, and that is, we want to grow the sport. Well, there's educational ways you can grow the sport too, and this is one of them. So, how do you maintain your weight, specifically kind of after you've made that certification or you've made that drop? And we have 4 or 5 ideas we want to give you that have worked for our guys in the past and continue to work for us. But it's a collective decision. Right, for sure. Right. And I guess I would start with this. If you're a parent or you're a coach or you're an athlete and you're going to try to make weight or drop weight and your body composition says that you can, your parents have to be on board because they can't have, cupcakes and ho-hos and junk food everywhere. It's got to be if you're going to do it the right way, you got to do it with a little bit of support from home.
Right.
The coaches obviously have to be there. Something that we always do is, in the back of my room, I have just a big bin of granola bars. Anybody that's trying to manage their weight and they come in, they just grab whatever they want because you want them to eat throughout the course of the day and you're going to need energy to train. So that's what I would say is, as a disclaimer and moving forward, you got to do it the right way. What do you think worked best for you?
For me, I look back, I was in the kind of the era before body fat testing and all that became mandatory. But for me, I compare my junior year and my senior year, in which I made the same weight class. I made 100. It was 112 back then. I made 112 my junior year. I wrestled again my senior year, and it was completely different. Yeah. Part of that is just the experience of having gone through it, and knowing. Yeah. But my junior year, I did it the wrong way. I would, wait till the end of the week, right before the match, right before the tournament, a day before, cut everything out, starve myself, cut water out, all that stuff. And, not only did I wrestle like crap, obviously my interactions with my family and in school, I wasn't top notch. And then you and I kind of sat down probably towards the end of that year and really mapped out maybe a better way to approach things. And for me, it was you have to eat. I think there's this misconception that when you're managing your weight, you're cutting out all the food and that's not true. You obviously have to eat smart. You have to eat healthy. Portion control is big. So I just scaled my portions down, ate the right things, whether it was, salmon and grilled chicken and, broccoli or whatever, grapefruits in the morning, those sorts of things. So I scaled my portion control down. And then the other thing was extra workouts. Yep. Typically there'd be times I would get an extra workout in the morning, and that's not, some crazy conditioning. That's hopping on the treadmill for 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Get my metabolism going, eat, get my body working, go to school. After school, obviously, have practice, go home, study, eat a small dinner, and then I'd finish the day out with a run as well, or some kind of extra conditioning. Again, just getting my body going after dinner, and then I'd go to bed. And it's that habit of doing that over and over and over again, and being smart about it. But my junior year to my senior year was completely different with my weight, and I think I wrestled better. I think my relationships were better, and I did better in school as well. So that's kind of what worked for me.
Yeah, and another thing too, what works for you may not work for someone else. But it comes down to a couple of things. If you're serious about managing your weight and doing it the proper way, you got to remember 3 or 4 things. Number one, you have to have a reliable scale at home.
Right.
If your scale isn't reliable, then take a 10-pound weight, put it on your scale, see what it weighs, and then take it into school the next day and put it on your scale at school, your wrestling scale that's probably a lot more accurate, and see how off it is.
Right. Bring your scale,
to school. Set them right next to each other.
Yeah, we have kids. On one step. Every year we have kids that do that.
So you calibrate your own scale to a scale that's been calibrated.
Right.
Number 2 is you have to know how much you drift at night.
Very important.
You should know, hey, I drift 1.5 pounds so when I wake up, I'm 1.5 pounds lighter than I was when I went to bed.
Right.
Which is so smart. What you did was you eat dinner, finish your homework, you eat dinner, and then you get that extra workout in, so you're getting a little more conditioning in, but you're burning off what you ate. You got to kind of look at it this way. You're eating, and then you're burning off energy. You're eating, you're burning off energy, and you got to do that through the course of it. The last thing that I would say, kind of when you're talking about how you kind of manage your weight and so on and so forth, is know how much weight you lose at practice.
Yeah.
Manage all of that. Know that. All of our guys that are close know how much they drift at night. They know where their scale is at home. They know, how much they lose at practice, and they can kind of time that out a little bit, so it helps them kind of manage it a little bit better. I mean, you agree? Like, we sit down and have these conversations. Yeah. It's hard if you've never done it.
Yeah. And it's going to be tough at first, but yeah, those are things. You got to have a scale. You got to know your drift throughout the day. You got to know your drift at night. Yeah. You got to know your average that you lose at practice.
Yeah.
And the other thing we talked about, kind of food and water weight's another big thing. So you gotta watch your water intake after practice. You gotta scale that in moderation as well.
Yeah.
And the other kind of newer thing that I know a lot of guys have done is the kind of the hydration piece of it, and I can't really speak to that, and maybe we could have somebody on that's done it. I know we've had a couple kids.
We've had some kids that done it,
and I know Logan Stieber was a big believer in that. So that's kind of what worked for me.
One final thing I would say that absolutely is important is this: most of the time, kids get in trouble not because of the weight loss, but because of the weight gain.
Yeah, absolutely.
What kids eat after they weigh in just makes their next week more miserable. You have to, you said you just learned to run and get an extra workout in. It became a lifestyle for you. And so, hey, you weigh in, and then you make weight, and you hydrate yourself throughout the course of a tournament, the course of a day, and you make weight again. And then Sunday, you can't eat like a pig because now you just added 5 or 6 pounds, and that you've got to work back off.
Right.
So the weight gain for some kids and that yo-yo really affects your training, and your training is where you have the most growth, I think.
And really, that's probably, if you talk about being unhealthy, that's probably one thing that would be unhealthy.
The gain, not the loss.
The yo-yo.
Yeah,
I typically getting down to a weight class is tough, but once you get down there, your body gets used to it.
Yeah.
You're pretty well set. But when you go back and forth, and that's a struggle, man. You can.
Yeah. And it's not good. It's not healthy, and it's just not good for your performance or your body. So we just wanted to kind of a different segment here, weight management, some ideas. Certainly not the only ideas. We're not professionals, but it's worked for our guys, and it's a combination of parents, kids, trainer, getting everyone involved.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we want our guys to be successful, but they've got to have input, and there's an emotional piece to that too. Even though your body fat assessment says you can get there, maybe you're hitting a growth spurt and it's just not going to work. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That's okay too. Going down to a lower weight doesn't always mean success.
No,
right?
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, guys.